color, where we live life in high definition. I'm Jennifer. I've got PJ with me. And then Dave is currently our assistant off camera. And we have invited Kathy Bartholomew from the Jerome Farmers Market. Kathy runs the Jerome Farmers Market. She is the force. She is the grower. She is all the things.
Mm-hmm.
You have many hats you wear. She's also the pumpkin queen, we've decided.
Yes.
So we thought for our Everything Pumpkin podcast that Kathy would be a perfect addition. And we actually just snacked on one of the first things. So I was focused around food and the plant itself. So we'll be doing several things in this podcast. But Kathy, welcome.
Thank you.
You brought all sorts of stuff with you too. I'm kind of
She's already
excited.
prettying up the place.
Yeah, she already got us all buffed out with pumpkins too. So I'm pretty excited about it. So I accidentally grew pumpkins this year. They were volunteers on my back. And I put one pumpkin plant in and I somehow have pumpkins. The squirrels in my neighborhoods they're assholes. And they chewed a hole in the front one already. And then I bought a couple pumpkins from you as well. So what does it take to grow the right pumpkin or the perfect pumpkin?
Takes a lot of work, takes timing. You have to pay attention. You plant well, you fertilize, you battle squash bugs, you battle voles, you battle weather, but it takes that and a lot of luck.
Well, so
how much do you grow?
So I ignore my pumpkins and I haven't had any problems. But I have regular water.
Do they look like this though? I'm gonna guess
they're
no.
about half that
Yeah,
size.
yeah.
I mean, I still did okay.
They're
for
pumpkins.
ignoring
They're
them.
alive.
I don't know which one I grew that was like this big, and they were like a pie pumpkin almost. I don't know which variety that is. And then the volunteer in the back could be this big.
Could have been a pie pumpkin.
Yeah, it could have.
Could have been.
It could have been. Do I grow a pie pumpkin?
Sure. You betcha.
Okay, good. See, I'm terrible. I don't know.
There's cinnamon girl. There's all kinds of different.
Because we do Howden, jack-o'-lantern, orange smoothie, and then the little guys.
Okay.
And then the Big Macs are the only thing we have on our schedule, but that means nothing.
No, it doesn't.
No, it means nothing because there are so many pumpkin varieties. Oh my golly. How many different pumpkins do you grow?
This year was 20.
Okay.
20 varieties.
20.
And how much? 2 acres? Like the pumpkins need a lot of room,
about
right?
2 acres. And I harvested while my husband was gone hunting, and I harvested 1,630 pumpkins.
Just
Holy
a few.
And so
how many
so hold
days
on.
did that take?
Right? Are you still tired? I bet. Holy goodness.
A lady yesterday kept telling me how tired I am. But once that's done, they're done.
Okay, so when you say harvest, so you got them out of the field and they're in a barn someplace waiting for you to do something with them?
They're in the shade. I have an alleyway with trees on both sides, so they're in the shade.
Because that keeps them to store a little bit longer.
It does, and it keeps them cool, and it protects them, and it's a good place to be.
Okay.
And a lot of people come up, and then they go through those alleyways picking out their pumpkins and whatever they want. And the blue pumpkin,
I think it's
this one down here.
Oh, right next to right below her.
And the pink one. Okay, Jardel and pink porcelain. The bottoms of those are sometimes hollow, and I never do it without gloves with silicone on them because last year there was an infestation of black widows that would not quit.
Oh,
inside the pump. So
underneath,
you go
up
pick
under
it up
the
or
blossom.
something.
Yes,
Oh, no.
people listening to me would be going like this because what came out of my mouth wasn't pretty.
Well, if it was PJ and I, it would be very R-rated.
But,
There'd be a lot of screaming.
But once I got those out, then they were pretty much safe. But when people came to buy them, I would pick them up and check underneath. I always did, just as a precaution. But I haven't had that problem this year.
Okay.
Of course, I rotate it every 3 years. It's in a different,
Well, yeah, right.
You're in a different
Crop
place. So it's a different place.
Yep, crop rotation. So interesting. You're explaining why I've never had very good pumpkins because I'm kind of like you. Oh, plant it and forget it. No, I never worked on the squash bugs. I never fertilized well.
Effort.
These take more effort than
effort.
But I've learned some things. 14 years ago, I went back to Philadelphia and I went to Pierre DuPont's Longwood Gardens. And in that place, the decor, the pumpkins all over that were so artfully placed were spectacular. And I went to their bookstore. In that house was a wall about like the office in there, just full of books on gardening and everything. And Longwood Gardens is a beautiful place to go. And it was life-changing for me. It was literally life-changing for me. I had grown the ones that you've talked about, and the Rouge d'Étampes, the Cinderella pumpkin, and all these pumpkins. And I started growing more, but I'm going to show you something here. I picked up this book called The Complete Squash out of that bookstore.
It must be a different. Does it come from a different country with the way they spell complete?
No.
I kind of like it. It's goofy.
And I read this cover to cover, and in the back, I discovered something. See, I hadn't started the farmer's market yet. I was getting ready to. And in the back of this, I mean, things were in the work. And in the back of this were pages and pages of seed vendors that I could buy seeds from. So
even better.
Everybody that was free, I ordered their catalogs. and it was just amazing. And so I started to educate myself. Okay, so then I grew all these pumpkins. That white one right there, see the stem on that? Okay, so that was the preliminary stems on all the pumpkins that I grew, and they didn't hold well. They would snap, they would break. And then I learned about wolf. See this big one?
Yeah.
See the stem on that? So I learned
these are awesome.
They are, and they hold and they last, and
these
people
have
can
the
pick them
most
up and then
the
they
hardiest
won't break.
stems. Yeah, this is the one that you see people are like, "Oh, I'm carving a pumpkin."
Right.
It's the wolf pumpkin.
And another thing I learned, in order to get these, and I order them from Harris Seed.
Okay.
I have to do it in November, October and November, because 2 years ago, I couldn't get anything. They were sold out, or crop failure, or this, that, or the other thing. So in the next couple of weeks, I will be ordering my pumpkin seed for next year just to ensure that I get it.
Right.
But you guys probably already know that with your greenhouses.
Yeah. We're already ordering all of our seed for next year, and we have been for 2 months.
But the casual garden doesn't realize that. If you are very specific about what you want, don't wait. There's a limited supply of all this stuff, and you go.
Absolutely.
In cases, our vendors will come and say, we need 2 years from now orders, because knowing there's going to be. So if you're into something specific, you see one of these pumpkins of Kathy's and you think that's amazing, order just like she's doing, order it early.
Or, you get the seed catalogs in January is the typical. Just come on in. You're welcome to come in, Grandma. So I offered my grandma to eat. So we're going to jump around on you, Kathy. So we did just try that's why this plate is kind of empty, and that's Zach will look at it. But this is a maple pumpkin oatmeal breakfast bar. And we all tried it. What'd you think?
It's really good.
I know she's still
took me a while to chew it up, so I had to put it right here on my book.
So as PJ has alluded in the past, I am a food retard. I'm allergic to half the planet. I can eat air, basically. So I am no gluten, no dairy, no egg whites, no almonds, no hazelnuts, no celery. And that's about where it stops.
I'm so sorry.
I don't do all with sugar either. So those are all the things. And so this one was all friendly for me. There was one egg in it, but that one egg across an entire recipe, I'm usually okay. So we did try this, and then Dave's going to bring in. Dave is our offset help. He's going to bring in something from Thug Kitchen, which is now called Bad Manners. I have an earlier edition. So we're going to actually post all these recipes too. We are doing the black bean and Mexican lasagna next. Ooh. So it's kind of like an enchilada, but it's layered. That's why they're calling it lasagna. How did it taste? Okay. And so also with this, all of the things I made are Jennifer friendly. So they're all gluten-free, dairy-free.
And the last thing we showed tastes pretty good for something that has nothing.
Yeah, he was afraid.
This is for you too. So
this is for me?
Yes.
Oh, now I'm gonna have to make something.
Cookbook.
Like you and I.
If you can't eat it, you can always give it away.
Exactly. Well, nobody's upset if I bring stuff.
Will
you make sure you make Grandma a plate or whatever she wants?
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it smells. I wish you had smell-o-vision right now, because it smells awesome.
This is beautiful.
Awesome.
It's pretty tasty. I actually had too much when I made it yesterday, so I made true enchiladas, and that's what we had for dinner last night. And I put an avocado crema over the top, and it was perfect because the avocados were not ripe yesterday.
Bought them at the white people's market.
Yep, perfect today.
Yep.
Combination of cilantro, avocados,
the sweet
pumpkins
really is coming through in the pumpkin.
So there's no cheese in this, so the pumpkin's where you get the cream. The creaminess. So It almost tastes
Mhm.
like there's cheese, but there's not.
This is excellent.
Very sweet. I mean, the pumpkin sweetness is coming through, not in a bad way. Really
There's
good.
a tiny bit of maple syrup in it.
Mm.
So since I have such a hard time with sugar, maple syrup and honey are my staples, and occasionally I'll do agave nectar.
Right.
But that's how I can sweeten up foods without it creating an issue for my stomach.
Have you tried our pumpkin honey?
Yes, it's
At the
one of my
market.
favorite.
Isn't
honeys,
that
actually.
amazing?
I love your pumpkin honey.
Yeah.
It's got this great flavor that is incredible.
Now, is that honey that's mixed with actual pumpkin, or is this honey that's made from bees that are
Peas
that are
eating
working
on
the pumpkin flower?
That's exactly right. It's
Okay.
the bees pollinating the pumpkin plants. Yeah,
Wow.
that's what that is.
Yummy.
I'm hungry.
Me
We're going
too.
to take a couple bites here and then we'll keep talking.
Mm-hmm.
So the one thing I changed about this recipe, so Thought Kitchen or Bad Banners, depending on when you purchase it, is a vegan cookbook, which I tend to look for vegan recipes because they don't have any dairy or butter or anything like that. And then I'll just add my protein.
Right.
And so that seems to work really well.
And that's
What
what
do
you
you
did
think,
today.
Zach?
Yeah, what do you think? We gotta get grandma's opinion too.
That is
Yeah.
very good.
My,
It smells amazing.
my
That is-
grandmother, i.e. the matriarch of Moss Greenhouses,
Mhm.
and this beautiful woman hanging out over here in the corner. She has I was raised with her cooking, and it was gourmet and just top of the line. I'm a completely different cook. I'm like free range in the kitchen. I'm a little feral. I try to follow a recipe. She's a lot better at doing that than I am. But I did follow the recipe on this one, and I'm a big fan. I think I added one more bell pepper, and I
There's
did a
some
little more
heat in
sauce.
this, though. There's some heat in
It's
this.
just the jalapeno.
So you can eat jalapenos.
Yep, I do fine with that. Yep.
Do
I
other
get
peppers
spicy.
bother you? Other peppers hurt you? No, peppers are okay, right?
Peppers are good. I don't have any problem with peppers.
Wow.
This is wonderful.
We also will have a pumpkin chili,
Mm.
and then we have a peanut butter pumpkin bar with chocolate chips at the end.
Mm.
And yes, they are plant-based chocolate chips. Don't you worry. There's no dairy in my chocolate chips either, PJ.
So I'm
That
glad.
is how thorough this
She gets
is.
screwed all the time because she's allergic to so many things. We'll do this stuff and then she can't eat anything. So I'm glad
Well,
that this time
and food's my love language at work,
Right.
and so I buy food for everybody all the time.
and can never eat it herself.
I can't ever touch any of it. So it's better if I eat it. And then people are like leery because they're like, if you didn't put gluten or dairy into that, I don't know that I'm interested because that's where the flavor comes from. Tell me that that's tastes bad.
The
There's
flavor and both so far has been
I know.
pretty darn good.
I still don't make things that taste bad.
Right.
So I really go out of my way to make sure that they have good flavor.
Well, they balance each other out, too.
Well, if you're
Yes.
using quality ingredients,
Mhm.
Key.
that's half the battle.
Cooking fresh. Key.
Yeah. Well, and I'm cooking everything from scratch. I mean,
Mhm.
you're making everything from scratch, and that's okay. It works. Or
Mhm.
you have just a good source. If you can find a good brand that doesn't like this was all organic pumpkin and everything in the can, because if you just get the pumpkin puree, if you look at that, that's not actually pumpkin.
Most of the time it is not.
Most
pumpkin
of
at
the
all.
time, it's just
Mhm.
a red winter squash of some kind. So it's either a butternut or, so your canned pumpkin is not actually 100% pumpkin.
We buy a lot of Kathy's pumpkins in the fall and feed it to our dogs all winter.
Do you?
Mm.
Pumpkin is so good to include in your dog food, and we'll take them home and we leave them on the porch because we like to look at them. Right,
Mm-hmm.
get through the holidays, and then I move them to the garage. And about the time that we got to do something with them, we start books. I cut them, clean them, put them in the oven, and just roast them off. And then you just scoop out the pumpkin guts,
Yeah.
right into a freezer bag. And every meal, our dogs get a scoop
Oh,
of pumpkin.
My gosh.
It's so good for them.
That is
So good for 'em.
pumpkin's a superfood.
Yes, it is.
It has got so much nutrients in it for it. And we were going to talk about this. All right. Pumpkin pie, Kathy.
Mhm.
Okay, there's a debate going on here at this little circle
Mhm.
about what the perfect whipped cream to pumpkin pie ratio is. And my ratio is an entire plate of whipped cream with one small tiny bite of pumpkin pie. That is my ratio. And I'm talking the teeniest bite you can fit that you have just enough pumpkin flavor and then there's lots of whipped cream. Now, mind you, again, dairy retard, can't eat it. There is a really good coconut whipped cream.
Mm.
Yes.
Yes, there is.
Oh, it's so
Chris
good.
has been using it. Part
Oh
of the keto.
my God, it's
Mhm.
delicious. So there's a really good coconut whipped cream. It's in the freezer section just by your Cool Whip.
Mhm.
So it's easy to find. And it's like one of the soy brands.
Mm.
And I don't know, Dave, what is your pumpkin pie to whipped cream ratio?
More whipped cream
More whipped cream than pumpkin pie. But to one piece of pumpkin pie, are you covering the whole plate, or are you just making sure that there's a significant amount of whipped cream? A big dollop
on the pie.
On the pie.
Actually enjoy pumpkin pie. Right.
Okay.
Right. As
Okay.
opposed to enjoying whipped cream.
Pumpkin. I am not your typical white girl needing pumpkin spice on everything. That is not my gig.
Pumpkin, yeah.
No.
The pie is out too. Not a huge pumpkin pie guy.
Okay, so I was spoiled. I had a great grandmother who made amazing pies.
Right.
There's not
Didn't have
really-
to settle for the squash
no,
pie
I
necessarily.
didn't have to settle for the squash pie. Now
Almost obligatory. You have to have a piece on Thanksgiving, or you're out of the family forever.
How do
Never
you
show up
do-
again.
How do
Right,
you do
Auntie,
with squash?
I do great with squash. It is just pumpkin pie.
How do you
It's-
do with sweet potatoes?
I love sweet
So-
potatoes. I
Okay,
use them
These
often.
blue ones are the Idaho version of
So sweet potato.
Oh, okay.
Because you
so
darn sure
you're-
can't grow sweet potatoes
So
around
I
here.
was going to launch into what your son David did for the Gordon Ramsay's pumpkin soup.
He
See,
took
Yeah,
he took the pink one, cut the top off.
yeah. He just sliced it straight through the through the center.
So the pumpkin is the bowl.
Yep.
And,
Right.
then,
Absolutely.
and then he cleaned it out, cleaned out the seeds,
Mhm.
and then he rubbed it with olive oil. Now I have a rosemary olive oil, and I rubbed it with that, and then I put in fresh rosemary and
he did
fresh
fresh
thyme, which
and
I
then-
got from Moss's.
and garlic. He does garlic.
And then tent it with
Mhm.
the foil and then bake that. And then he took and scraped all that. And you can add chicken broth to that, whether
yeah.
you can eat that or not. And
Yes, I can.
I'm
one's
not,
safe.
I'm
Because
not,
we're going for a soup here. This is what
This
we're
is a soup.
Okay.
and-
and it was a bisque. It was a pumpkin
Cream
bisque.
heavy. Okay.
And then he shredded fresh Parmesan on that. And they
They put
just,
heavy cream into it, and it's just delicious.
yeah. And I did it. And we ate that for 2 days with an herb bread that we bought at the market.
Oh, yeah.
And oh my
It looks
goodness.
so good.
It just,
And had I had more time, I would have dove into this, but
Mhm.
there was an allocation of only so much in a
Right.
day, and I had to make some decisions. So we went
but
with easier stuff.
it's just amazing. But I don't like people sometimes ruin squash through the holidays. They'll do the marshmallows and the brown sugar and everything like that.
That is a good way
And
to
I will
describe it,
take them
ruined.
because these all are in the same family. I will take a variety of them and cut them up, cube them, bake them, and then put a savory cheese and
Oh,
herbs
there you go.
on it so that it isn't a sweet.
So it's a savory.
Yeah.
It's a
squash.
savory dish and it's so healthy, so good. And
It's
just
so much
amazing,
better for
amazing.
you. And so somebody like me could take the recipe that David had made. So it was the Gordon Ramsay pumpkin soup. He told me where to find it and everything. And I would just use coconut milk.
Right.
And then for the cheese, I might try nutritional yeast, or I just might salt it differently so that it still has that cheesy flavor. Like nutritional yeast brings that cheesy flavor to the table. There's also another recipe I recommend for people who are like me. You can't do dairy. And this is a misnomer because I can't do gluten either, but you can do macaroni and cheese with a pumpkin sauce and it tastes like cheese.
Mm.
It's
Oh,
amazing.
Did you get that creamy?
Now, if you're comparing it to Kraft, it is
Yeah.
not the same thing. So let's be clear about
And right
that.
now, Trader Joe's is everything pumpkin. in
Oh,
there.
yes.
And that's one of our prizes at the festival this year.
Is a pumpkin package from Trader
It's a
Joe's.
big
Oh.
bag full of all
Okay,
things.
so
pumpkin
we
from
should
Trader
we
Joe's.
should drop some other information in the podcast because we drop secrets on here all the time. So if people are listeners, so we actually are
We have a
happy to
secret.
announce that Jerome Farmers Market is going to relocate for the 2024 season to Moss Greenhouses.
Yay!
And we're really excited about it. So we're actually going to bring out a full fall program of plants and the whole thing. I mean, we're not going to stay open in retail, but we're going to have somebody out here on Saturdays to sell things.
And their asters are spectacular in the fall, and their mums are too. Mine are blooming right now, and they're magnificent.
I think she got some that year we had.
Right.
Them. So
Oh,
yeah,
they're
we're bringing
so
all that
pretty.
back. We're pretty excited about it, and I'm excited because now we have a platform, and so we need to work this out with you. We could have a chili cook-off. We can have salsa competitions.
I want to
We-
have an apple
Okay, and
tasting thing
I want to
contest as
resurrect
well.
Herb Festival as well.
Yes.
So we got some things in the works.
When
folks.
does this post?
So this that we don't post this one for 2.5 more weeks.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we're good.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, we'll
We're-
get you
we're-
I
through.
haven't told it
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah. No, this goes past the Harvest Festival. You're safe, and they've really got to go out there and listen to
And
find
this
it.
Saturday from 9 to 2. Of course, this will
Well,
be
it'll
2
be
weeks.
too late.
This will be after.
This
Yeah.
Harvest Festival.
Yeah.
But he can still put up a little something that just says your last market's this weekend, and
Yeah.
we get like a
We'll-
banner or
we'll-
something.
We
Yeah,
have the
finger.
when,
Yeah,
and we're loading all the pumpkins. We're taking all the pumpkins.
Dave-
out,
Dave's
so
got
it's a
something
good
for
choice.
us.
So if we're going to have Herb Festival, are you going to invite me back then? That's going to be the question.
Oh, maybe I just need to have it before you leave.
Well, maybe that's it.
Well, but I'd have you back for it. There's absolutely no problem. I actually was at a customer on Thursday last week, and they requested the Dave show as a truckload sale. So he wants literally smoke machines and a band, and the truck to back up, and the top to come off, and Dave comes out in a Superman shirt that says Moss Greenhouses. So that will be at the Burley Stokes on May 4th of
Oh, We got
2024.
a straight plan.
Yeah, it's already done. It's already done. So no, so how this all happened, we messed up and didn't have UPCs in something particular at Stokes Greenhouse, and Steve caught it because he's a whiz at that. So Dave got in his car and hightailed it over there and was tagging things, and they were slammed. It was a really warm spring, afternoon or whatever. And so Steve's in the greenhouse, and at one point somebody goes to ask Dave a question, and all of a sudden he's like, yeah, Steve's like, that's the grower at Moss Greenhouses. He was the most popular guy at the fair. Like, there is 14 ladies just being oohing and ahhing over Dave.
Cinderella,
And it
Cinderella.
was a whole thing.
Yeah, a 1 hour job, it took like 5 hours.
Yeah,
you know.
he didn't come back for several hours. He had this big grin on his face when he got back. Well, when I told Steve this was Dave's last season working for us, he's like, well, we have to do the Dave show. I was like, all right. So we called Dave over there, and we're like, hey, P.S., you're on speakerphone. I'm the person you have to tell that to. So he agreed to be the Dave show. So we're going for Cinco de Mayo weekend over at Stokes.
Very nice.
So it's going to be a pretty exciting adventure over there at Stokes. So
All
yeah.
right. We got one more
Okay,
thing. Two
we
more
got-
things we
we
got to
got
try out. We're
pumpkins,
running out of
too.
time.
All right, Dave, if you would get our chili ready, that would be
Chili.
outstanding. All right, so what is your favorite pumpkin to grow, Kathy? As I swallow air.
My favorite pumpkin to grow. I have a list of all of them, and I like a lot of them for a variety of reasons. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh gosh, that smells.
These
Mm,
sunshine pumpkins, I love them
And they're
because of
kind of yellow.
what they do in an
Yeah, in a
arrangement.
blend. Yeah, in a
It
mix.
just pops everything. But I love the shape of the one right there. That's why I brought
The
that.
wolf.
And then that one down there is fun.
White, pink.
Well, this orange one down there, and
Oh.
it's a taller one. That's easier to carve and get your face out of and everything like that. But I don't carve them because they don't last if you do.
Sure.
And unless you put like Vaseline on them or something like that. But who wants to do that? So isn't that pretty?
Shame you don't have smell-o-vision because it smells amazing.
Yes.
So
This is so
this one's
pretty.
got onions and bell peppers, a jalapeno, a sweet potato, pumpkins, black beans, and then I threw some pulled pork in it, like I said. Oh, and there's tomatoes, of course, homegrown. So, yeah, we've got a lot of things going on
Well,
in here.
that's really good.
Now,
But
she said
my-
it wasn't hot, but it does have a little bit of a kick to it. It actually
Okay.
makes it taste
I
pretty
should
good.
probably qualify myself when I say it's hot.
I just
You
felt
should
that.
not trust me.
Yeah, that's how we do it in my house too.
Do not
I am
trust
not
me.
the
Do
judge.
not trust me. I have
no chili.
so I have a
Not with any
dragon.
spice.
I have a dragon mouth. I have a temperature. I can handle a lot of heat. So when something's like medium, I'm like, it has a little bit of heat to it. My kids are just like, like sweating. I feel a little bit bad for a second. Nobody in this office will trust me at all because they're
They
all
played your
mild
game
now.
before.
Oh yeah, they just are like, I can't trust Jennifer. So they'll actually go to my mom, make her try it, and then she sells it one way or another. So I have a very high tolerance for heat. So I should not be trusted.
I do have to tell you one thing I do and that I have learned.
What's that?
At the end of my driveway, whoever's growing corn, field corn out there, I go talk to them and they let me make corn shocks at the end of my driveway.
Mm.
And I used to put big pumpkin arrangements at the bottom, and then people start stealing them.
Oh no.
And it's right there by the road.
Yeah,
They go
right.
by. So what I do now is if there's a pumpkin
That's pretty.
with a deformity, or if it's rotten on one side, I put
That's-
those out there.
Yeah, take it away.
And every once in a while they disappear, but it's pretty much stopped it.
So the pumpkin rejects go to the road.
And there's some that were so big I would have to take them down in the tractor. Somebody tried to load it in their car, and the pumpkin was on the other side of the road because they couldn't lift the thing and take
That's
it.
funny.
But
So
it always, when I'm really sifting through there, that's how it goes out.
2 falls ago, Mom and I did 2 weeks over in like Maine and New Hampshire and Vermont area.
Oh,
It was absolutely wonderful. But they had a town. I'm just trying to remember if it was New Hampshire or Maine. And we drove through. And I mean, there's all of a sudden, the funny thing about the East, there are going to be millions of people there. And you never know because there's so many trees.
mhm.
Right.
So all of a sudden you'll be like in the middle of nowhere, you think there's a dot on your map and you're like, eventually I'm going to run into a human, and suddenly you're in traffic and you're like, what happened? It's very strange. So we come into traffic in this town. I'm almost sure we were in Maine because we were trying to find a famous lobster roll place, I think. And there was a lot of water. And so it was that disjointed islands area, right? And we're coming in the middle of a fall festival, and they have these massive pumpkins, and they're
Mhm.
carving them all over town. And so there was these big art installations, and they're skinning the pumpkins, carving and painting them. Like it was this whole thing. It was absolutely over the top and most extravagant pumpkin festival I've seen, but it was really cool.
There's some really
And
talented artists.
There were
that
some
can do that.
big
Really
ass
good.
pumpkins too. These were not small. I mean, like V-dub bus size. Just
Mhm.
whoop, they probably needed a forklift to put every one of them in
Mhm.
place. And literally, once it was placed, it's not getting moved.
1,500-pound pumpkin.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's what they had all through town. That's what they were carving, was these massive pumpkins. And I mean, it probably took them a couple days to do some of this. It
Wow.
reminds me a lot of McCall's Winter Festival, where they carved the
Oh.
ice sculptures.
Mhm.
It was exactly like that. They were placed through town. I'm sure that when you showed up, you got a map and you could figure out which artist was at which
Wow.
location. And each one of them had a different theme.
I got to
And-
get out more.
Yeah, you do. You got to quit
I
doing
need-
this harvest festival.
I
It's
need to
screwing
get
your
outta
whole
here.
thing up. But please bring the best harvest festival to Moss Greenhouses next year. Don't let us
I
run
need
you
to
off.
get out of here.
You just need a trip right after the harvest festival that you can just take off and go do it.
We're going to Alaska, and they've already had snow.
Yeah, but your daughter's up there. You're going to see all
I
your
know.
great
Right.
For those that don't know, the Jerome Farmers Market closes out the season every year with a giant festival. It's extra vendors, it's extra stuff, it's extra people, it's hardcore
Thank you,
geared
Dave.
towards the kids, right? There's costume contests and rides and games. She puts, I don't know, 10 times the normal amount of people at the festival than for a market.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's super family friendly.
You have had a Harry Potter theme for a little while.
About 7 years.
Right.
Yep.
Mhm.
What's the next idea?
Actually, my daughter came up with an idea, and it is it has to do with the Marauders map. I can't think of what the name of that. I have it written
Oh,
on my table
yeah.
at home, but it has to do with mystery and magic. But
Okay.
something to do with the Marauders map. I don't know.
Interesting.
But
Just
they're
Mischief
doing that up
managed.
there.
switch it up a little bit.
Yeah.
They're doing that up actually in Alaska right now, and
Okay.
she just keeps trying to get me to go to the markets up there. I mean, while we're winding down, they're still harvesting spring crops.
Right.
Makes you feel bad for
Right.
them. I mean,
Well, it's
pumpkins
a
are
lot different
terribly
up there.
expensive up there. I shipped her a bunch of little pumpkins, for the kids' birthdays, and oh my goodness, they're so excited. And the grandkids, some of them are coming, and they're so excited.
I'll tell you, when
So
you
excited.
told me we were doing this episode, all I could think of is where's the closest pumpkin chunking contest? Because it is on my to-do list to go to a pumpkin chunking. You know what I'm talking about? So they'll
So,
build
yeah,
trebuchets or
So
they'll
instead
use
of a potato gun, it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
how
pumpkin
far
Okay,
can you
yes.
get a potato to fly?
Well,
Yeah.
and we've thought about that, but the closest thing would be to
Vegetables
the empty
weaponized.
cornfields or Highway 93.
No,
So we
and you
can't
need
do
some
that.
room because I think the winning trebuchet was like 3 miles or
Oh,
something.
really?
It's unbelievable how far these things unbelievable, right?
Well, if
They
we-
call it making pie when the pumpkin explodes.
Yeah.
Right. So they'll go to throw it and it just goes poof. They're making pie. Scratch pie for one.
Check, check.
There is one in Idaho Falls. That's the closest
Is
one I
there?
could find. So somewhere in the east,
So
of the
we
state.
might-
They
we-
do a
There's
contest.
been one.
We might need to have to figure that out.
Yeah, because I think it would be a wonderful
So
fun
we
to
need
go blow
to
pumpkins
figure
up
out
for,
how to assemble a pumpkin
or a trebuchet.
a pumpkin cannon.
Oh, I'm still working on it. We're talking.
Uh-huh.
When you get a chance, if you'll bring the chocolate chip dessert out instead
Dave,
of
and you're a
here.
hell of a waiter. I
Thank
gotta
you.
tell
I really
Hell of a
appre-
waiter.
Dave is a man of many skills.
It shall reflect in your tips, sir. I got to be honest with you.
The tip was food.
Yeah.
BS. We
Boy,
did
that's
not bring
pretty-
cash to this.
Yes,
episode.
please. I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Chocolate.
Now
Yeah,
you
yeah.
could do nice little, cookies and stuff with. I mean, here's the thing about pumpkin cookies: they're always moist.
Right.
That's the thing I love about pumpkin cookies. But I like a little bit more substance, so I went oatmeal based with both my recipes. So this is a peanut butter pumpkin bar. Help yourself. Those are
Ain't all that
plant based
bad,
chocolate bars. Help
I'm
yourself.
How did you
scared.
guys eat your things already? Your soup already?
We're
I'm still,
speedy.
I'm
We're
still
starving.
playing with mine.
We were starving. we meant to eat earlier and we just didn't, and so that's why when we brought the oatmeal bars out, I'm like, I'm eating this before we even start filming. So
But fall is a beautiful time of year, and it's a reflective time of year, and even the
Zach's
trees
going
are
in.
involved in the beauty of fall, and we just
Oh,
have had
I
a
know.
gorgeous one. And so pumpkins are just part of it. They're just a added bonus, I think.
I think so too. And I've gotten to know all the other squashes too. Like I'm a huge fan of butternut.
I am too.
I'm a big fan of spaghetti squash.
Mhm.
I'm getting down with acorn a little bit.
Have you? Okay,
Delicatas. Have you messed with
so
delicatas?
we
I
have-
haven't touched them.
we have one called mashed potato, and it's a white acorn. And for
I know which
those
one you're
that
talking
can't,
about.
you started my seeds.
Yes.
And for those that can't have the carbs, the mashed potato squash, we sell a bushel of them every week. Sell out every
Well,
week.
because you can
But
take
it's a
that down.
carbless
You
squash?
can-
Carbless,
You can take it down to the same that you would a mashed potato.
Yes, you bake that.
Doesn't
clean
have
it,
that starch.
and then you add the garlic and everything, and it's just like the spaghetti squash is a substitute. for-
Yep.
Right. Yes, it will.
Okay.
It's totally a win.
So the same squash, well, the white squash is carb free, and people that can't have that but love mashed potatoes, they're just buying it in mass.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
buying it in mass. So that's what I look for too. I mean, I have our traditional things, but I also look for things for people that are dietary challenged.
Mhm.
Something
We have a
they can
club.
eat,
It's me.
you know.
DC.
So, it's always an investigation. It's always a learning curve. It's always
Oh.
something that we try.
Yeah.
The first thing when I'll come in the spring is I go, so what's new this year? What you got? And so we'll work together, and I'll order some seeds. They'll start them, and sometimes they carry them now. And
Yeah. We'll test out things, and if they're good enough, we'll put them on the schedule.
mhm.
But we like to test things. We'll have an episode where we bring Ryan on and we talk about our trial program because we're really revamping. It's kind of a rule at Moss Greenhouses. So you're supposed to put your phone on silent. So,
Well, it's
we-
always an education. You always have to
It
learn.
is.
You have to
and
grow and evolve.
Idaho's so different from every other spot. Dave's joining us. He's like, and it's my entrance. So, so we always have to test everything because Idaho doesn't treat things like everywhere else.
That's
Is
true.
that fair?
That's true.
I mean, because you might have a tomato that worked in Alaska that would never work in Idaho,
Right.
or vice versa. We have a ton of things that don't work in Alaska. We already know that.
From Magic Valley up to the Boise Valley, things
There's
are
even
different.
differences.
The orchards are different. The size of
Yep.
the fruit is different. The harshness of the climate is different.
You probably see differences because you're sourcing your product. What you don't grow, you source either in Idaho or in Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do stuff out of Washington too?
No.
You probably
No.
don't have to. You
Mm-mm.
cover the gamut. Because
Mhm.
you get your berries in Oregon usually.
No, the berries are a mile away from the market.
Oh, heck yes.
Except blueberries.
Okay.
And one of my
Blueberries don't
vendors
grow in
knows
Idaho
it.
no matter what
Did
Dave
somebody
says.
say blueberries?
Oh, God.
I did grow blueberries. I did grow them. But,
So for those who haven't watched that episode, Dave buys a blueberry every year to kill a blueberry.
Take a
every
shot.
year. Yeah.
it's the water, bud.
Yeah.
No matter how you
It's
do the
They're
soil, it's
acid
the
lovers.
water.
We're high alkaline here. It's a losing battle.
Yes. Believe me, I've tried it. I've tried the additives, and I had them, and I actually dug up the last of mine this year because the robins got the little tiny things before.
Your
anybody else.
microphone's right there, sir.
No more blueberries at yours?
No. No.
You're the one that convinced me to buy blueberries and plant them to begin with. I still have 6 in my house. Now that you've given up, I guess I'll have to give up.
There's just
All right,
certain
I'll let
fruits
PJ back in.
there's certain fruits that just don't work here.
I know I'm still working on it.
She's not giving it up. Do you know that pumpkin is actually a berry? Yeah, you can like trace it back. Yes, it's a winter squash as well, but they've kind of cross-pollinated, and so if you trace the genetics of a pumpkin, it goes back to berries.
Well, and there's a lot that come from Mexico. There's a lot that come from Europe. There's
I was actually thinking, what's the one we grew that's pumpkin on a stick?
And
that's an eggplant.
Is that what it is? Because I was going to say, is that a berry of some kind?
No, it's
it
an
looks
eggplant.
just like it. It is literally a stick, and there's these little tiny pumpkins, and they're usually like dark orange to like almost a red. And then you dry them.
Right.
They're a lot like a gourd that way, and you've got beautiful pumpkin on a stick.
We grew them a couple of seasons.
We did
I
grow
know
them.
that.
We might bring them back. We'll see.
Yeah, somebody asked me
No
about them. and I grew
promises.
them
They're not
last
on the
year,
schedule
so
yet.
we'll have to
I
do
still
that
want to
again.
bring back
Gomocarpus.
Gomphocarpus. But yeah, it's
What is
it's called hairy
balls. Yeah. So you know what's interesting? My wife.
It's terrible,
the
and
most.
they look just
it's
like
the
it.
most accurate description you've ever seen.
But they're so cool. They're light green. They go in a bouquet really well.
That's my wife just got it in the flower shop.
We just knew that nobody yeah, they're beautiful.
They're really they stand out.
But they look like hairy balls.
It's the most accurate description you've ever read. I defy you to come up with a better description for that.
I can't.
It's a hairy ball. What are we going to name this? Hairy balls.
And chili just came
You're
out
gonna
of our
have to Google
producer's
that.
nose. He didn't think the plant podcast was going to go this way. It happens sometimes. And we actually want to put it back on the schedule, but when we put it on the availability, it's really hard for some of our customers to say that out loud on the phone.
I planted in the garden. It turned into it's like a mini tree. It's a 6-foot tall plant in the garden.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it really does.
They're really pretty for
interesting...
harvesting for a fresh cut flower.
Really?
Yeah. They're grown just for the fresh cut flower.
Gomocarpus.
Yes. They are
not as accurate as the description I already gave you.
Tammy has some really funny ways it's been described on the phone to her. It's very entertaining.
What is this thing you sent me?
No, it's usually when they're on the phone going through the availability, placing their order, and it's somebody nice church going folk
lady
from the eastern side of the state, no problem. But they just cannot verbally say that out loud on a phone.
This sounds like Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where's Eddie Murphy? See in that phone there somewhere.
Was there a PG rating on this, or was it R? Yeah, it was. Oh, it's so funny. Well, and the best part about working at a greenhouse is there are people of all different skill levels and exposures to nature. And your customers are that way too. So you have all these different pumpkins. You're going to have a true pumpkin aficionado show up at your market, and they're going to ask specific pumpkin questions. Are you not? I mean, I watched the watermelon guy the other day at the farmer's market quizzing you, and I was like, he knows his watermelon. I was like,
but pumpkins are like that. There's
pumpkins
one for pies, there's one for carving, there's one for looking pretty. Like they have very specific skill sets.
It's like peaches. There's freestone peaches, there's non-freestone. I don't know what they're called if they're non-freestone.
Clingstone.
Oh, you would know this. This is why
I'm right in the middle of it right now. The cling is so angry. I am the jerk that ordered that tree, and I am mad at myself every fall for ordering a stupid clingstone
So
piece.
I should probably start with our next episode is about fall cocktails.
Freestone is the way to go.
And we'll start drinking next, so don't you worry. When we do these episodes, folks, we do 2 to 3 at a time because that is what our schedule is like. And that's the only time you can pin 3 of us down, and then Zach has to deal with us yahoos, and that's fine. And then occasionally I got to cook a whole bunch of food or something.
Thank you, by the way.
Yes.
Lunch was wonderful.
No
Thank
problem.
you very much.
And we can scarf some more before we start drinking.
Yes.
So our next episode that we're going to come into, and then we'll circle back to Kathy for any of the last bits to take with you for pumpkins, but our next episode is going to be on fall cocktails around apple cider.
Yes.
So we based everything around apple cider because it's apple cider season.
Mm-hmm.
And so I actually let this guy be totally in charge because I had too much crap on my plate.
She cooked everything, so I
cooked
the booze.
Everything, so he took care of cocktails. So it worked out.
I'll bring you a box.
So we're
crisp.
Hey, we'll do some apple cider. God, we could do a whole fall social with that.
Yes, we could.
Yeah. So there's so many things you can do with produce. And so pumpkins, I recommend go outside of pumpkin pie unless you are heavily invested in stock and Cool Whip. Personal.
Pumpkin bread.
Pumpkin bread. Pumpkin rolls. Oh my God. Pumpkin rolls. We actually almost retired pumpkin pie from our Thanksgiving lineup, and we just do pumpkin rolls now.
What's a pumpkin roll? Is that like a little pumpkin?
Well, it's like
mini
one of the
pumpkin pie?
rolled with all the cream in the middle.
Oh.
Yeah, it's delicious.
sounds wonderful.
Dave can hate on it all he wants until I put one in front of him. Blasphemy, my ass. Whatever. He is a sweet lover. All I gotta do is put it in front of him, and yet he's nodding for those who can't see him. He's like, "No, I'll challenge you just so you feed me pumpkin rolls." That's what's going on. I see. And then pumpkin pasta, pumpkin lasagna, pumpkin soups. I love pumpkin and stuff. And it doesn't always taste like pumpkin. It tastes more like cream, in my opinion.
Says the lady who can't eat anything with actual cream in it. So
When we
don't listen to anything she's saying.
When we did the ladies' night
She's a-
out, I had the pumpkin honey, and this one lady refused to taste it because she says,
I don't like
I don't do
pumpkin.
pumpkin. Oh, she just.
It doesn't taste
And
like
I said,
pumpkin.
I'm
it's the
really
best-
sorry.
it's
I'm
the
really
best
sorry
honey
for
you
you
have.
because you're really missing out. These things are just full of minerals and vitamins and such healthy things.
Superfood.
And children that won't eat vegetables and things, you can mix this up and camouflage it, and it adds the
Yep.
sweetener and
You get a
flavor.
kid, you can't get
and
vegetables
then
into.
they get
Well,
some really
I
good.
dare you to.
So,
healthy
question for you,
food.
Kathy. When I was in South Carolina last week, they package in their mason jars, you
Mhm.
know, honeycomb in the honey.
Mhm.
What is the reason for that?
Good question, because it's really hard to get honeycomb.
Yeah,
And
presentation.
it keeps
I think.
insects out type thing, but and it would hold.
Mhm.
I mean, it never goes bad.
I mean, everybody was telling me that you kind of chew on it. It's
Hmm?
got that
Yeah,
waxy
you
taste,
can.
but it's
It's almost like a candy.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Did you ever have those wax pop bottle candies?
Uh-huh.
Exactly.
It's the same kind of thing. You chew
Yes,
it,
it
and it's
is.
almost like gum for a while, and then when it's
My
done,
guys
you-
would go find a wild one and just snap out a piece and just start chunking.
I just thought it was interesting. You're buying honey with the honeycomb
yes.
in the jar, and I thought,
Yes.
wow.
But it's hard to get. It's really hard to get.
It is.
It's really hard to find because when they're taking the honey,
You're killing.
out
You're
of
taking
those.
homes away from.
you know, and they put it in those spinners and things, they basically lose a lot of money by cutting out the honeycomb and just bottling that compared to what they can do when they harvest the honey. So,
Just a presentation thing.
Yeah.
but
Just
Well,
a presentation.
Presentation sells. You know how
It does.
we'll pick out we'll pick out items on our schedule because the name sells.
Absolutely.
You know, there's something to be said for, you know, a Cinderella pumpkin. What did Cinderella ride into the ball?
yeah.
It's very, you know, esque of what it sells itself. You don't have to worry about it. Whereas like a jack-o'-lantern pumpkin, what do you grow that for? To make jack-o'-lanterns, you know? Big Max, it's a big pumpkin. It's a maximum size pumpkin. And so, I mean, looking into those names is kind of important. It's kind of a big deal.
You know, and one thing I would say about our market, our prices probably beat everybody. In the
Everybody.
Magic Valley.
Yes, without
Um,
question.
You don't-
I just was astounded. You know, and I'm grateful for Home Depot. I'm grateful for Costco. I'm grateful for grocery stores. I really, really am. But I'm just floored when I go and I compare what I sell them for.
You're
And
not
what-
having
what
the
they
freight,
sell them
the
for, but there's no
overhead.
middleman. There's
Right.
no
Yep.
main
right.
transportation involved in
Or
this.
3 brokers get taking a little
Right.
piece of
so
that.
this is local. I know exactly what's in this, and I can stand behind it. And if something happens and they go, my pumpkin was rotten here or there, and I go, well, take another one.
Yeah.
You know, it happens.
some-
And
but-
your stuff lasts forever. I mean, that's what
But-
people don't realize. If you're buying pumpkins at your place, they were in the ground 2 weeks ago.
yeah.
It's as fresh as you could possibly get. And everything at the grocery store
and
was
it's
in the
ri-
ground
and it's
2
right
months ago.
then.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Big
So,
deal.
Are you
I mean,
hungry?
just because you can
Are you
charge,
hungry?
I don't.
Okay.
You know, it doesn't mean that I should. And I have a lot of young families and I have a lot of older people that come in there, and I want them to be able to afford these things. I want them to be able to have fun in the fall. And so
Well,
that's
it always
what we
bugged
do.
me when people come to farm market and ask for inexpensive. I said, listen, if you're looking for inexpensive, go to Walmart. Walmart has the cheapest stuff you can get.
Yeah.
If you were looking for quality, something that was grown fresh, something that
Well,
like, the
and-
person will stand behind,
In
this
this
is where you
case,
shop.
If you,
she's
Yeah,
if,
she is
she's
less cheap. She
cheaper.
is.
She's cheaper
She
than
is.
Walmart.
if you want a cantaloupe that tastes like a cantaloupe, if you want a watermelon
Right.
that tastes like a watermelon, We get more comments.
If you want
that
an
people
orange
just can't
watermelon,
believe.
and I still haven't found one.
Best melons I've
You
ever had in my
haven't?
life.
Oh, I'll have to show you the picture of the 55-pounder that we had.
Oh dear God!
Yes, and it
So-
fed 140 people. 150
And we've
people.
talked about these farmers markets and things like that on a past podcast.
Mhm.
And keeping it local. You want the freshest product that you can get in your marketplace? Go to your farmers market and support them.
You want to be healthy. The closer your produce is produced to your person, the healthier, the more nutrients your body will get. Now, if it's off season, so you're outside a season of a vegetable or produce, the frozen section at your grocery store is not a bad spot because they freeze that when it's in the ultimate nutritional spot.
Yeah, but the better way is to buy it from Kathy and then freeze it yourself.
I agree.
No,
But
because
what
now
I'm
you're getting
saying,
both.
if you listen to this in February, Kathy is nowhere
That's
near
true.
producing
That's
a
true.
vegetable,
That's true.
and
Very
neither
true.
are we. Well, we are in a greenhouse, and you're just not going to have produce yet.
Right.
Oh, pardon me.
You're right.
So, with that,
Yeah.
we encourage everybody to buy a pumpkin from Kathy.
From Kathy.
You can.
Jerome Farm.
This episode will come out after
way
she's done.
after.
So
Next season.
Well, go support your local pumpkin patch because we do work with Blue Rock.
Tubs.
We work with Tubs.
Mhm.
I recommend in great entirety. Please go see the Crismores. The Crismores do a great job at their pumpkin patch.
They really do.
I think Diane and her husband planted 30 varieties that we grew for them this year. They're doing an exceptional job. They do have a pumpkin cannon out there.
Oh,
they do.
there's the close one.
And
Right
then
There's
there.
the
if
one.
you have
Yeah.
pumpkin questions or if you have technicalities that are bugging you that you need help,
Ask.
Crismores.
they will tell you.
Yeah,
they
they
will
will.
teach you. They're
They're
good
very
people.
helpful.
They will walk you through it. And the cool thing is you can go out there and make an afternoon of it.
Right.
It's
Take
a full,
the kids.
there's
absolutely.
picnic tables, bring a picnic and just make an event of it. Otherwise, always watch the Jerome Farmers Market for their Harvest Festival. That's also another good one. Trenda does a good job over at Blue Rock, Trenda and Ty.
Mhm.
They've got a little pumpkin patch there as well. And then you've got Tubs, which has got slides and all sorts of stuff.
Mhm.
And I do believe there's one over on your way up to
Rupert.
Haunted Mansions. What town's that in?
Albion.
Albion. There we go. I was like, it starts with an A. Yeah, when you're going up the hill to go up to
Mhm.
Albion, there's one on the right there.
Yep.
As
The
well.
straw mazes.
Yep.
There you
The
go.
straw maze is there. I mean, I recommend go have that experience.
Support
Even
local.
you just want to go to have a date with your husband or your boyfriend or your girlfriend, or want to take the kids, wear them out so they all sleep in the car. So you have 5 minutes apiece on the way home, whatever you need to do. Yeah, we all giggle because we've been there. It's like drive her
Bourbon
on so
works
they
too.
sleep. We're not condoning
These are
that
some
at
of the
Boss
best places to go,
Greenhouses,
though.
but
It's hard to get
Good
into Capri
family
Sun,
events.
though. Really hard to get into a Capri Sun.
Yeah.
Different podcast. Different,
that's the next
completely
one.
different
That's the
podcast.
next one. Okay. Well, with that, we want you to buy a pumpkin, do something with pumpkin. I challenge you to try a recipe you haven't tried with pumpkin because I think you will be surprised. And with that, we invite you to go live life in full color. If you have, because plain is pretty boring, I should finish my entire statement. If you have enjoyed this podcast, please share it with your friends, share it on social media. We're on all streaming platforms and we're on YouTube. And we are looking forward to a 2024 season in Moss Greenhouse's retail that is going to kick butt this next year. You're actually going to see TVs in the greenhouse actually looping our Yahoo faces on the screen on a regular, as well as we're going to also be promoting our partnership with Garden Answer YouTube channel as well. So when you're in the greenhouse, if you're trying to get ideas, there's going to be television screens up there to give those ideas to you too. We're, as you said it, going into the next generation.
20th century.
We're joining the digital world in 2024.
Yeah.
It's fine. Just took us a
Whatever.
little while. We're an older company. And with that, guys, have a great day and happy pumpkin.